A judge has unsealed a filing from prosecutors that alleges new details and evidence in the federal criminal case charging Donald Trump with plotting to overturn the 2020 presidential election. This is a filing that had initially been made under seal, and its purpose is to convince a judge in Washington, Tanya Chutkan, that the acts alleged in the indictment were undertaken in Trump's private or personal capacity and therefore can remain part of the indictment. That's important because the Supreme Court, in a July opinion, said that official acts undertaken by a president are immune from prosecution. And so what this filing intends to do is to convince a judge that everything that Trump did in his failed effort to cling to power was done in his capacity as a private citizen as opposed to a president. And we're learning all sorts of new details that flesh out the portrait of Trump's efforts to cling to power. We're learning, for instance, about conversations he had with Mike Pence, where he was really animated and determined to get Pence on board with refusing to certify the counting of electoral votes. We're also learning about Trump's reaction to hearing the news that Pence's life might be in danger on January 6th and that he had to be rushed to safety as his supporters rushed to the Capitol. He's alleged to have said, "So what?" At another point, he's also alleged to have said the details don't matter when he was told that lawyers might not be able to make claims of election fraud stick in court. And so we're learning here really additional details that help us understand the events leading up to January 6, 2021. This filing comes out just 1 month before the presidential election. And in fact, Trump's lawyers had sought to keep this filing under seal because they said it would be unfair to be released so close to the election. But you can see that January 6th and Trump's efforts to remain in power after the 2020 election really still factor into this presidential race. And those chain of events are part of the case that Democrats are making for trying to argue that Trump is unfit for power. And during the vice presidential debate this week, we in fact heard both candidates, Tim Walz on the Democratic side and J.D. Vance on the Republican side, talking about January 6th and responding to a question about those events. And so it really still very much matters in the minds of the parties. We are receiving a very angry reaction from Donald Trump and his campaign. They are calling the filing unconstitutional, in part because it's being released so close to the election. Trump is, in fact, attempting to tie it to the immediate aftermath of the vice presidential debate, where he says his running mate, J.D. Vance, did so well in this effort to undermine his campaign. There's no evidence of any connection between the two, but Trump is repeating his claims that this is a witch hunt, and he is saying that he will prevail in this case and that he will do so in all the other criminal cases he faces.